Women can only not be prepared in choosing a male. Once they become a wife, not myself, but the manufacturer says you find a wife, you find a good thing. He did not put any conditions on it. You find a wife that is educated, you find a wife that is not quarrelsome, you find a good. He did not put any conditions on it. You find a wife, you find a good thing. You have a blank slate, sir. And the only way that wife is not a good thing is if you don't know how to operate that good thing.
This is Marriage Matters. I want to encourage you to smash the like button, because when you smash the like button, it helps the algorithm in the YouTube to get this content out to more people. And we're back again with another session. Actually, we're about to start a series where we're not going. I'm not going to dare say 2, 3, or 4 weeks. You know, as we get into it, we'll see how best the time will be broken down, but we're going to be getting into the 4 P's, the 4 P's of marriage. And of course, it's not limited to these 4 P's, but these are the 4 P's we feel are very, very practical and relevant to some of the discussions we have been taking on in the last few sessions, and that we will continue to take on. So whatever you grab your coffee, grab your tea, maybe you're cooking, maybe you're walking the dog, maybe just lying around, get ready to think with us and to ponder with us upon these things. So the 4 P's, but nonetheless, I want to introduce my good friend and brother. One of the things I like about this brother is his name says enough. Arthur, you know, Mr. Arthurs. He's an author among authors, you know. His penmanship is second to none. You know, I think if Shakespeare were alive, you know, he would make his way to Belize just to come and say, sir. I wrote Hamlet, I wrote Romeo and Juliet, but please, what wisdom can you impart to me in authorship? You know, ladies and gentlemen, that's my brother, Mr. Arthurs. How are you, sir?
I'm good over this side. I think the Shakespeare would be surprised to find that it's my daughter that does all the authoring, no?
Well, you know, yeah, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, eh? So
yeah,
you know, if you want to get it, yeah, go ahead.
I enjoy writing too, so I'm just not as good as her, but I enjoy writing. And welcome everybody, and we're looking forward to a good one today.
Yeah. So what we're about to get into is we're going to get the 4 P's of marriage. And I'm gonna give a quick overview so we can know where we're headed in the sessions to come.
Yes.
So the first P is the problem, right? Where we wanna look at the problem that you know what, this problem is what I wanna be bold to say that this problem we're gonna talk about in the first P is one of, if not the driving thing that faces and that seeks to destroy, if not all, marriages. All right. And then the second P is the preparation. All right. We're hoping to discuss the importance of the work before marriage. All right, in that session, and then we're gonna take on the third P, which is the perspective, because it's important for perspective. I always tell people that your perspective affects your attitude, and then your attitude affects your actions. And if that is so, and I believe that is true, and I've seen it in life, how critical a matter that we need perspective in marriage, right? And then of course the last P we want to take on is the purpose. All right.
That's right.
Which the purpose. And you know, as we were talking about these 4 P's before, we realized you know, we want to take our time. You know, we don't want to rush these 4 P's. So brother Arthurs, the first P we want to jump right into is the problem. and specifically as we were talking, we one of the things we discussed was why men leave, right? And
Yes.
that's to be very clear. We're not targeting men, because I do think there are times that women leave for whatever reason, right? Both parties find reasons to leave, and as we go further, I think we're gonna find out it. Like I said, what really the driving cause. But you know, why men leave? Why do they abandon ship? And I think one of the things I've found out that I sense more of the challenge goes to men is because when we read the manual, um specifically where it's addressing marriage, in one
Yeah.
of the areas, there's more verses and more charge to the men than the woman. So
Yeah.
that in itself says a lot. But brother, that's I want to hear from you. Why do men leave? Why what are some of the things as we begin to unpack this problem?
I would like to start before getting to why men leave
Mm-hmm.
to kind of observe and look
Mm.
at the process of leaving.
Yeah.
This
Mm-hmm.
this is a very complex,
Mm.
complicated,
Mm.
and I like the term that you use in past episodes. It's like a layer, like
Mm-hmm.
onions,
Mm-hmm.
and this onion does water your eye.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at the process, I would like to look at the process of leaving before looking at the reasons for leaving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In looking at the process, looking at the process for leaving, you find that it doesn't matter whether the woman leaves
Mm-hmm.
or whether the man leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's the man's responsibility to create an environment.
Mm.
I have a good friend that
I like that.
spoke on that topic of environment. And what is an environment? It is made up of different particles, such as, or elements, I should say, such as light, heat, sound,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and wherever you have the proper environment, it will attract living things.
Wow.
So if you want a fish, for example, to if you want to attract fishes,
Mm-hmm.
or you want to even keep a fish in an aquarium, you have to have water.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create that environment,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have food.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you notice, a man is called, when he gets married, a husband.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a term that we use in modern times that we call farmer.
Mm-hmm.
A person that works the farm is called a farmer, or there's an old term called a husbandman.
Right. Wow.
See? And so it is all in one capsule, where that
Powerful.
husband has to be able to create an environment that will
Mm.
cause the wife to stay.
Mm.
I have seen history or Discovery Channel, on the Discovery Channel, where because of the environment, an animal would risk its life.
Mm.
So you have this pool of water, especially it can be limited with water.
Mm-hmm.
And in this water, you can have crocodiles
Mm. Hmm.
and a deer, a buffalo, a zebra, animals
Mm-hmm.
that know their lives are in danger,
Mm-hmm.
will risk their lives and go to this environment because they need water.
Mm.
And so once that environment is created, you see where the animal, it's willing to risk its life so that it can get water.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where environment becomes important. So whether the lady leaves is because of the environment, and whether the man leaves, it's because of his inability to create an environment,
Wow.
or the right environment.
Wow.
So that is where I would like to start in terms of the environment, no?
Yeah, no, I that is very it's deep and practical. I remember growing up, our neighbor when I was growing up, man, this guy always would just, I guess he had a thing for reptiles, I guess.
Ah.
And he'd have pet snake and different things. And so one time he brought home a crocodile, a baby crocodile. And we were like, wow, okay. You know, it was small, looked like a little lizard, you know, but you could see it was and he's like, I'm gonna put it in water because you know it needs to live. He's like, yeah. And so he puts it in this thing of water and it died. And
Wow.
he come to find out he put it into pipe water and the chlorine killed it.
Oh my. Oh my.
And so I want to definitely appreciate that point that you made about the environment, because man, and even where the term husbandman, it talks about, it paints a picture of a husband and a husbandman farming, making sure the garden, the vineyard, wherever they're working, that it's conducive to growth.
That's right.
And you know, but I wanna go further now on that point and talk about the heart of the husbandman, you know, because the heart of the husbandman, or the heart of the husband rather, is the, to me, when I think about it, if the heart is not right, it cannot create that environment either. And so, you know, the manufacturers say that from the heart flows the issues of life. It's the heart that we want to call it the control room, if we dare say so. And so the heart of the husbandman is to me the core, because when we look at the what was said by the manual and our manufacturer, that there was this question of why, you know, the question was asked, why did Moses permit us to write a certificate of divorce? Why were we permitted to leave? Why were we given this permission slip to leave, right? To leave this beautiful institute, if I want to use that word, that calls for loyalty, that calls for faithfulness, that calls for commitment. You know, we always, you know, before I even get a little further, I want to say in the times, because I'm not going to sit here and say that we have not had turmoil or a little turbulence in our marriage. We've had, but you know, one of the things that I am reminded of was my vows. I was reminded that I stood before our manufacturer, I stood before an audience, and I said, for better or for worse. Right. And I want to say, folks, that vows should not be just pretty words that we compose for the moment. You know, it should be something that we mean and that we should endeavor to keep. Right. And so, but now the heart. So in that question, the question was asked, right? Like, why were we permitted to leave? And the response is the issue, is the core. It said, Moses permitted you because of the hardness of your heart.
Yes.
And that's why I say the heart of the husbandman. If the heart is hard, a hard heart will create a hard environment.
Yep.
And I want to go that this environment transcends just the physical, because we've talked about this in some of our previous sessions, that we use a song, a popular song, that satin sheets to lie on, right? Satin pillows to cry on. Still, I'm not happy, don't you see, right? And it's to tell us that there's more than the physical. Though the physical is important, it's a little more than that. It's the it's the I wanna say the spiritual atmosphere, also the emotional climate, right? But that cannot be projected outwardly if the proper inward heart is not conducive and in that right place. So
This
so
is right.
that question, I mean that response, the hardness of your heart is as we would say, the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
And I want to say the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So yes, my brother, I that's the bill on that, right? The heart, the why do people, it's the heart, the
Yes,
hardness of
and
your heart. Yeah.
it's an interesting thing. It's almost like chicken and eggs, no? And people asking, well, which one
Yes.
comes first? Because going back to the environment, there are many stories, there are many comparisons that you can use. If you're in an environment that is emotionally too hot, you will leave because it's too hot. But what I want to say is that the heart, before the heart became hard, it was soft.
Right.
The heart was not always hard. So the dealing with the heart is important, but dealing with what caused the heart to become hardened. When a man and a woman, they're getting ready to join together, the heart is soft and sweet. And in dating, men understand perfectly well how to create the right environment. Their hearts are soft. Their hearts are understanding. And I'm just thinking that it is very difficult to keep separated the 4 P's. They're all interconnected, and I'm having trouble trying to keep them separated. But why I'm saying this? I try to give 2 stories in this area, and so you'll find that we're not necessarily discussing the detailed principles, but the overhanging and the overshadowing principle that covers them all. And once you understand this, you can apply it to any detail. So I'm thinking about 2 stories. One of them has to be with the husbandman, and why that term was used. Because the manufacturer is the genius of words.
That's right.
He is the word himself. And so whenever he uses a word, it is not by mistake or because of lack of understanding or knowledge. So when the word husbandman is used and you start to think of it, if you want to plant certain trees or certain seeds, you have to know which time of the day to plant it, which time of the night to plant it, which composition of the moon, whether it has to be a full moon, a half moon, a quarter moon. You have to know what type of climate it will grow in. You have to know how much water it can take. You have to know if it can function without water by just sticking onto an established tree already. And so being a husbandman is not a simple thing. It's not for the empty-minded. You know, you have to understand weather and you have to understand timing. So a husbandman is a man that is very well trained. And I know we'll get into that later on when it comes to dealing with preparedness. So I'm trying to keep myself, you know.
Trying to restrain yourself.
Yes. So I'll give this second story, and then maybe we can look at some details. I don't know. But I want to give the second story that or principle that I've heard. And I was taught when I went to buy a fish. I was working at this particular place, and they wanted a fish to keep in an aquarium. And I learned things I didn't know. So we went to buy this fish. You know, you buy a goldfish, you're going to pay good dollars for it. And I should say top dollars for your fish. And at the store, they were very careful to speak to us about environment. They were very careful to speak to us about introduction into the environment. So if you have a fish, you go and buy this fish, you want to take this fish that you so love. Your heart is pure and clean, and you're going to sacrifice $150 or whatsoever that goldfish costs to get this fish. Your heart is not hard. You take this fish home, you have to understand how to introduce this fish to your home. So you cannot take this fish out the water that it's in this plastic bag and put it in your aquarium. The fish is going to die because of the difference in temperature. So when you buy this fish, you take this fish home, whether your heart is clean or not, you cannot put it in there. Whether you want it to be with you, whether you want to spend time with this fish, whether you took the most expensive bottled water and put this fish in it, whether you built the most expensive aquarium with gold trimmings, you cannot put this fish in that environment without clear understanding, without knowledge. And what you must do, sir, you must take this fish and keep it inside its bag of water, that little plastic bag that you bought it in. You can't leave it in there for long or it's going to die. So timing is special here. It's going to die from lack of oxygen. But you can't take it out very fast either.
Wow. Man.
And what you will do, you'll take this fish and you'll put it inside your aquarium within its bag of water.
Oh, okay.
And what will happen there, the water will begin, the temperature from the bag will begin to adjust slowly to the temperature of the aquarium.
Oh.
And if you don't know this, you go buy a fish and you kill it, and then you want to tell the people at the store, well, you sold me a bad fish.
Yeah, I'd have killed that. I would have probably killed that fish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And it's the same in coming to why men leave. We are not very clear. We are not taught many times. Maybe some of us are, but many of us aren't, how to create an environment and how to keep that environment and how to introduce someone to that environment.
I love that.
You know,
that's really good.
And so maybe with that now, I don't know if we could get into some details of why men leave. I would like to hear from you.
Yeah, well, I kind of have two things I want to talk about quickly based on what you said, because you talked about, you raised a point a while ago about the heart it seems so soft in courtship and pursuing. It seems so soft on the honeymoon. It seems so soft, even a little, it's so soft. It seems to have this. But I want to say sometimes, and the manual alludes to how desperately wicked this heart is, and how our heart can behave itself for the right reasons for the right time.
That's right.
And it can put up a veneer very quickly. It can put up a facade very quickly.
You see, you're putting me in trouble. You're putting me in trouble here, because then that leaks for me. It leaks into, it's good, but it leaks into being prepared, and the preparedness being preparedness from the woman's side,
right?
To be able to but go ahead, sir.
Don't worry, we're setting the stage.
I enjoy it.
And so, but what I said that to say my next point, because one of the things that I want to say to all of us with marriage is that marriage, it's not just about excitement in the beginning. It's about enduring to the end.
Yeah.
And a lot of, and not just in marriage and a lot of things. I see even, we get excited about something new, and that's great, right? Because that's a part of life. It's a part of how we're made. It's good. But
yes.
I found out in life, and I'm reminded even in this season of my life, that excitement is great, but it's not about getting excited. It's about making up your mind to endure to whatever commitment you're going to be involved in. And you talked also about the heart, what makes the heart hard. And I was thinking about this, and where selfishness and self has not truly died, no marriage will ever thrive.
Yeah. I like that.
Right. And so I say that because it's selfishness and fear. Like fear, if the environment of a heart is fearful, what's going to be the environment of that is projecting out? When you talked about the animals in the wild, which I for a long time I haven't watched, but I spent a long time watching Nat Geo. I like that. I like
History
watching,
Channel.
especially I like Nat Geo Wild. I like looking at how especially the lions, and
Yeah.
you know what fear does. Fear is the driving factor that hardens people's heart, because fear puts you in self-preservation mode.
Yeah.
And if and we talked in a session before about the importance of love and
Yeah.
fear. And now let me be clear, there's a difference between, I was talking to my wife about this the other day, there's a difference between the spirit of having a spirit of fear versus the fear of emotion, which I think is a healthy part. There's a place for healthy fear. If you're walking and you see a scorpion or something that can threaten your life, there's a fear that say, hey, back up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Look for a stick or evade it. That is not bad. That's a part of us, I think, that is healthy to express and exercise. But when you talk about a spirit of fear, it's being governed and ruled perpetually by fear, and that usually is one of the ingredients that hardens hearts, because fear cripples, fear causes contention, and fear brings confusion. And so if I have to contend for life, like in the wild, the animal, out of fear of dying, does what it needs to do to hunt and to find food. And if we are continually, I want to say, nurturing fear, man, that's going to lead to a hard heart, and that's going to lead to an environment that's unhealthy.
Of course.
Where growth, but love now is what continually makes the heart soft. It's what creates an environment conducive for growth. Love, right? Love. So don't only get excited, endure. Let's run away from the veneer and the facade of a soft heart, which I know touches a point that you really want to get at. And then finally, like no marriage will really thrive where self and selfishness has not truly died. So
I really like that. You're hitting the nail right on the head with that. If I could give some causes why men leave, I would probably look at 3 or 4 different causes. But before looking at that, maybe it might be interesting to take all that and pack it up in one basket. And the one basket I would look to as to why men leave is the basket of selfishness.
Wow.
There are 2 ways you can see that word that causes the opposite meaning to come out. You can be a selfish person, or you can be a selfless person.
That's right.
And there are 2 different persons, but selfishness causes you to create an environment that will eventually cause your heart to be hardened, and then you leave. So if we break down selfishness and to see where selfishness comes from, that is the negative to what we were given by the manufacturer. The manufacturer says to husbands, not to the wives. I just offered somebody, I like to do this though. I just offered somebody a week of meals. I won't call any names. Well, I was speaking to two gentlemen, and I offered them 2 weeks of meals, not only lunch, but morning, afternoon, and evening meals for a week. And my week, I told them, would be 7 days. If they could find anywhere in the manual where the women are instructed to love their husbands the way that Christ loved the church and died for it. And I offer them this, and I'm waiting, and I encourage them, and I would be sad if they find it, not because, I'll be wrong, but because I have to find lunch. But the thing is that there's nowhere in the manual that I can find that instructs women to love their husbands. So for me, the only person that can be selfish in a marriage from the manufacturer's point of view is the male, because he is instructed to love, which means he will sacrifice, he will give, and he will choose. Because those are the three words for me that encapsulate love. Sacrifice being the biggest, and sacrifice giving is a part of sacrifice. And choosing is a part of sacrifice. So when you see the other woman out there that you want to think the grass is greener on that side, and she's younger, or she has this, or she has that body, or that eye, or that whatsoever you look at when you look out there, when you choose that other woman, you do not love your wife, sir.
Yes.
Because you have chosen somebody else. If you chose your wife, you will choose not to go after that other woman. You want to. I'm not saying you're a man, and men have this challenge that's inside us, where we want to conquer and where we want to experience something different or something new. I understand all that. But love is you being able to sacrifice that feeling. And love is you being able to choose your wife instead of somebody else. That is love. But when we become selfish, and so I like that you use that word, selfishness is the key factor why men leave. And selfishness starts all the way down the road. It does not show its ugly head when men decide to leave or when women decide to leave. Selfishness shows its ugly head all the way at the beginning, and the wrong environment is created, and then either women decide to leave or the men decide to leave, not understanding that they created this environment. I look at women, and we discussed in the earlier sessions where in the normal classroom, let's say, a lady, they're much higher in terms of maturity for their age compared to males. And I have reasons for this, and maybe one of these years we can discuss that. So you have women that are trained, they're educated. All ladies are encouraged to have education. And they excel, and they're level-headed, and they study for the most part. It's not totally across the board, but the majority. So you have women that are beautiful, women that are intelligent, women that are caring and loving. You can see it in them. And some people even refer to themselves as alpha women. And so you have these women that the women, they are so good and solid and complete. And then they meet men that are not trained how to be husbands. I mentioned something, I think it was yesterday, where if you go according to the manual, you need to learn how to be a husband before you learn how to be a father. They're interconnected, but the manual tells us you must marry first before you become a father. That's the correct order of things. And what that is saying, that you need, sir, to learn how to be a good husband before you start to worry about being a good father. Although they're interconnected.
Right.
And so when this lady she goes and she meets this husband that should not even have a dog. He should not even have a pet. But now he has a wife. He's so irresponsible or so selfish or so immature that you should not even allow this man to walk your dog, much less have his own dog. But he has a wife. He takes this good lady, this lady that comes equipped with so much things. She's an asset. She's a superwoman. And he takes this lady and turns her into a plump of complaints.
Wow.
And then he says, this lady is not good. She likes to quarrel. She likes to argue. She tries to control me. and he leaves or she leaves, and he believes that he's God's greatest gift to men. And the lady is the problem.
Yes.
And so good for her, you leave. So selfishness would be one of the first things that encapsulate the totality of why men leave. And I would just mention some other words and try to end a little bit so you can go ahead. But a couple words that I would use would be unloyalty. When a man is not loyal, or we would use the word unfaithful. Unfaithfulness causes men to leave because they end up with a cantankerous woman when they are unfaithful. But they won't tell you that they. Anyway, I say I won't continue on. I'll just call the words out. Sorry.
Yeah.
Neglect causes men or women to leave because it ends in hardness of heart. The lady did not marry you to live in a house by herself and take care of the kids while you go out and enjoy yourself. She could have stayed home for that.
Yep.
So again, that's another one. And thirdly, I would say lack of preparedness causes men to leave because we are not prepared. And don't tell me women are not prepared. Women can only not be prepared in choosing a male. Once they become a wife, not myself, but the manufacturer says you find a wife, you find a good thing. He did not put any conditions on it. You find a wife that is educated, you find a wife that is not quarrelsome, you find a good. He did not put any conditions on it. You find a wife, you find a good thing. You have a blank slate, sir. And the only way that wife is not a good thing is if you don't know how to operate that good thing.
That's right. I like that.
And I'll stop there before so I can hear from you.
Yeah. So I think as I begin to sum everything up, one of the things I'm gonna begin to share some of my final thoughts here for today. It's one, when I seriously reflect in the times maybe where we had glitches or ups and downs in our marriage, a lot of, if not 99% of the time, it was because I was being selfish.
Wow.
You know, when I would stop and be like, man, I really just to be selfish. Like if I would and the manufacturer ask a question in the manual, from where what's the source of wars and fights among you? Doesn't it come from your own evil desires at war inside of you? So there's this war within that we have to be looking at, and so I say that to say that because I like to learn very practical and constructive in these discussions. And I think, well, as we talked about the problem, I have a prescription here. It's not the only prescription, but I'm going to offer this prescription and it's to take time to reflect and we talked about the husbandman and the heart, but take time to reflect and to guard the garden of your heart as a man. Tend the garden of your heart. And there's so much in that. I know I've said it, but there's so much if you unpack that, but I wanna prescribe to guard the garden of your heart. And because one of the things that it was a hard question that was given to me was, do you think the way people, not just my wife, but do you think that you are contributing to the way certain people respond to you? And I had to sit with that question. I had to sit with that question, and I still have to sit with that question, because it's a reflective question that takes the scope of the people around me. It takes the scope of the environment around me, and it puts the scope on my heart.
Right.
And so that's my prescription. As that's the problem we said, the heart, selfishness, the environment, all of it. But my prescription for us today as men, and anybody, but especially I'm talking to men, is to take time to reflect and guard the garden of your own heart. So nice. I don't know what are if you have any final.
I like that. That is deep. when we are able as human beings, not only as men, to self-reflect and look at our heart, you know, everything, the heart is the brain of the computer. And it's not only the brain, but it's the more powerful part of the brain of the computer. So a man's mind is his brain, and he thinks with his brain. But when you go deeper than the brain and you speak of the heart, many times when I was coming up and I heard the manufacturer speaking about heart, I thought it was the organ that pumps blood. To find out later on that the heart is the deeper inner parts. It's in your heart where you make very emotional and passionate decisions. But let me come off that so I can get to this, to maybe my final thought here, because but that is so good, the heart, understanding your heart. And the only way to deal with the heart is to entrap it. There are things in our heart that need not come out. And according to the manufacturer, every person's heart on this planet is desperately wicked. And every person's heart on this planet is deceitful above all else. There's nothing else on the planet more deceitful than your heart. And it is not only wicked, it is desperately wicked. Your heart, sir, and my heart. And so all we can do is to make sure that we entrap that heart and allow only the things that are right to come out of it. And so one of the deepest things in the heart for everybody is selfishness. And I would like to close with this thought about selfishness. Selfishness is different from selflessness, because with selfishness, you think about yourself first. You only think about yourself. It's only important to you. And when you do this, then others become last. While we are encouraged to think of others first and put ourselves last. It doesn't mean to take care of yourself poorly, but you put yourself last. And in a marriage, that's what should happen with a man. He should love his wife, meaning that he should put his wife first and consider himself last. I'll give you this example. I mentioned before that when it comes to a policeman, you can love a policeman if you want. You can treat him well. You can take care of his kids. You can help them to get back to school. You can buy him beers and take him out to lunch and hang with him. And you can love him if you want. But the country does not require you to love a policeman. Your country requires you to respect a policeman. Because anybody that is in authority, they should be respected. That's the way you relate to somebody in authority, whether it's a teacher, a judge, doesn't matter, a policeman, a traffic officer, you respect that person as a citizen. That's the principle of authority. On the reverse, anybody that's in authority should love those that they're in authority over. And even a policeman hearing this will say, well, no, I don't like that. I don't love the people. Wait, listen. What we call love is not always love, because you have many different types of love. And that love that you might be thinking about, Mr. Police, that love might be eros, which is an erotic love, which means sexual love. I'm not talking about that kind of love. I'm talking about unconditional love. Everybody in authority should unconditionally love those under authority. And everybody under authority should submit to those in authority. Unless they are going against the ultimate authority, then it's okay to not obey. So if that police tells you to stop, you should submit yourself and stop. He tells you lift your hands, you lift your hand. Don't go down that street, then you don't go down that street. Don't take that lane if you're not to take it. Listen to his authority. But that policeman should love you. Now, he might not feel like it, but I'll show you why it is love. Remember, love is sacrifice, giving, and choosing. You call that policeman and you say to him, there are gunshots firing out here. Or my husband is beating me. Or my wife has the kids in the house and she's threatening to light the house on fire and kill them. You know what will happen? That policeman that has his own family, he has his children, his wife, he has his job, his car, all the things that he would like to enjoy living for, that policeman is going to sacrifice his life. And he's going to go into gunfire because you made one 10 seconds phone call. He's going to sacrifice his life, and he's going to choose to come to your house and give you assistance. So we have the three words: sacrifice, give, and so that police, in effect, that police is showing you love. He's loving you because love is the romantic love. Everybody has that. There's no shortage of romantic love. We all want to have intercourse with each other. When we find somebody we love, we want to have intercourse with that person, and ooh, we feel, yeah, we all have that. That's romantic love. That is not the love that the manufacturer instructs a man to have for his wife. You see? And so I would like to end with that I think it's very powerful when you mention about selfishness, because that is the key virus that causes men and women to leave relationships. Yeah.
I think we had a lot to. I don't know if you guys got anything. I know I got a lot of nuggets that I could go back and ponder upon and seek to practice as well. And I hope this has been encouraging. I hope you noticed that Mr. Arthurs had a very hard time containing himself today because of some of the arrows and words that were coming and were, but
it's true.
I do believe that we're going to be able to get into our next session as we take on the preparation. All right. So yeah. Look out for that session coming up as we tackle the second P of preparation. Until then, this has been Marriage Matters, because your marriage matters. See you next time.